There are so many key moments in an America's Cup cycle, but aside from the day on which the Cup is won, the first race is a big one. 2 decades ago, the first start and the first few minutes off the line were the most eagerly awaited, because back then the challenger defender hadn't really lined up against each other at all. No one, not even the teams, really had any idea of how they would shape up against their opponents. Since then, things have changed, and the defender and challenger have raced each other on several occasions. And while this has been the case in this Cup, the funny thing is that there is still very little known about how Emirates Team New Zealand and Ineos Britannia will compare.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing in the gate bias.
Since the Louis Vuitton finals, the British have had a few days to decide what to measure in for the match. The Kiwis have had much longer, but they haven't been able to line up against anyone since early September. Part of the reason there's so little known is that for the current breed of AC75s, much of the crucial technology can't be seen. Even if we could identify differences in foils, the flight control systems are invisible, as is so much of the technology. So when they head out tomorrow for the first start of the 37th America's Cup match, there's going to be very little known about either team. The only thing we do think we know is that it's going to be close. So with all this in mind, the day started with an interesting and unexpected presentation by Grant Dalton at the Yanmar press conference, where he provided an interesting insight into how he saw things. He started by saying that if they'd been able to pick their opponent a year ago, facing Ineos would have been the dream final.
A lot of people ask me about, kind of Ineos and what we think, and is it going to be close, etc., etc. I have no idea. I mean, no one knows whether it's going to be close or not. But what I do know is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ben Ainsley, we have amazing people. I think we're really, if we, as Emirates Team New Zealand, had been able to pick our dream final for lots of reasons a year ago, this would have been the dream final. Because I think as much as anything, because of the relationship that we have with that team, which is with every other team isn't friendly, and this team it is, but also because of the history. And I think about the All Blacks playing England and that great rivalry. And here we have a team that, and I think Ben said it best when he says, we lost the Cup in 1851 and we haven't seen it back since. And that's kind of an amazing statement, really. It's 173 years that the Cup has left the shores of the Isle of Wight and hasn't been back. And so I think that there's a sense that maybe Luna Rossa could have been a better story in some ways because 500,000 Italians would have descended on Barcelona. But I think the actual historical story, because I'm kind of a historian about the Cup, with Ineos, it's a better story. And, win or lose with that team, there will always be respect between the people within the team. So as I say, I'm delighted that it's Ineos. Strengths and weaknesses, we've got a very light forecast, which has given us a problem with the Perch Women's America's Cup as well. Today is light, tomorrow's okay, Sunday's light, and then the breeze comes back in. So we don't really know yet how they've improved in the light weather. The final of the Louis Vuitton was obviously in a lot of breeze, and they were quick. In saying that, I think Luna Rossa sailed pretty badly too, to be fair. So I think we're just going to see a whole new pattern emerge tomorrow with the light air. They would have motored their boat slightly different, and we have certainly improved massively since the round robins. Yeah. I think with Team New Zealand in 2021, there was nobody within the team that was happy about the way we sailed. We had a very fast boat, and we won 7-3, but we sailed very badly. Well, certainly in the first part. This is a totally different team. This is a way stronger sailing team. In terms of its focus, its drilling, it's planning, and I will hope it's execution. So Ineos has certainly got a very formidable Emirates team in New Zealand. They've not got the team that they saw in Auckland. They have a completely different team this time. So all in all, I think we're in for a great matchup. I'm nervous. I'm just that sort of person. I get hugely nervous. I can barely speak during the race, and particularly in that 2 minutes or that last 30 seconds into the start.
In the main press conference later on, Ben Ainsley and indeed all the others talked of how little they really knew about each other's performance.
You know, we've been watching pretty closely what Ben and Dylan and the team have been up to, trying to study their moves, trying to understand counter moves, and I'm sure they'll be trying to guess what we're going to do come tomorrow as well. So I think we've seen this racing. The boats are incredibly close in terms of the performance, and the start's going to be really critical. So I think both teams are going to put a lot of effort into their starting execution, and we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow.
All the way through this series, right from the beginning, the preliminary series, you and others talk about it being a path of development and constantly developing the boat. Now we're facing the Cup. One, is that development now finished? Is it what we see is what we get? And two, if that is the case, how hard has it been, given quite big fluctuations in the weather, to actually pin the tail on the donkey 5 days before and then go into this match?
Well, to answer one, no, the development's never finished. I mean, both these teams, when we get to the end of this final, will be significantly faster than when we went into it. It's just inevitable, and we've seen that, like you say, all the way through the competition. And yes, Mother Nature will have an impact on the outcome of this. I'm pretty sure of that. But the teams have known the win range for 3 years now, and the designers. I have to say, I'm always in awe of the designers of these boats, because as we saw in the Louis Vuitton final, we were right up against the wind limit, and the boats were right up against their limits. You know, the load sensors pinging off left, right, and centre, foils cavitating, but in most cases the boat's held together. And again, that's credit to the designers, and it'll be a fascinating final in terms of the weather and just what a part that plays in it.
You don't really get to know till you line up and go off the first start, but yeah, I mean, we're really happy with the package we've put together. I'm sure the British should be really happy with the package they've put together. Obviously, different looking boats, but probably going reasonably similar speed, and it'll make for one awesome competition.
Yeah, I think the challenge has really, for me, been learning the match racing and trying to understand Ben's decision making. And as you see with these dual helmsman boats, it's hard to see everything that's going on. So the communication is key, and it feels as though we've been building momentum through the entire series, and as you've seen, the pre-starts are getting quite intense, and hopefully the communication style we've developed has helped us there.
The America's Cup, I think, very famously is a race to win the last race, and one of the few sporting events where you have to win the last race to actually win it, and our team knows that all too well, and we're just looking forward to continuing to develop right to the end.
Meanwhile, the other big news of the day was with the Women's America's Cup, which went all the way down to the wire, thanks to the weather refusing to turn up until later in the day. But as the sun goes down, we now have 2 finalists. Getting the final qualifiers in Group A had been a struggle thanks to the lack of breeze, and the event had to be shortened. But once complete, it was Emirates Team New Zealand, Athena Pathway and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli that joined Sail Team Barcelona, Yayo Team Dutch Sail and Swedish Challenge from Group B for the semi-finals.
Yeah, it's just so on edge, every manoeuvre feels risky, and just timing it with the other boats and the gas from the other boats and in pressure, it's just a lot to think about, and nerves are definitely on edge.
In the first race, the breeze might have built to 10 knots, but it was super tricky, with huge holes in the wind in places. Nevertheless, the Spanish sailed a very confident race to take the first win of the series, with the Italians and British in second and third. A tight start in the second race saw the British head to the right while the Italians worked the left. Neither was easy, but they remained at the front of the fleet, with Luna Rossa taking the win and the British in second and the Swedish team taking third. There was more nerve-jangling action in race 3 as the breeze showed signs of fading, but by the finish it was the British that had taken the win with Luna Rossa in second. The final was now looking likely to be this pair. Until, that is, the sun headed down towards the horizon and the weather went pretty cranky.
This is the umpires, OCS, GBR, Italy, Netherlands, Sweden.
But with Athena in third and Luna Rossa in fourth, they both finished on equal points, just 3 ahead of the Spanish to get their place in the final.
Nice work, guys. That was stressful.
What was that, third in that race?
Yeah. Just thought I'd make it interesting on the start.
A final that is set to take place between the 2 opening matches of the 37th America's Cup.